Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone. This is our normal Sunday night huddle, except for we're doing it on Monday night because a good chunk of us were traveling home from GTC. And so what we're going to do for tonight's call, the format's going to be a little bit different. We are going to be having kind of like a round table of sharing. And I really wanted you guys to hear from people that took the time, invested the time, and went to GTC firsthand, and really their nuggets, their takeaways, maybe just something that stuck out. They're all going to share for 2 to 5 minutes. And what I really want to encourage everybody on the phone, whether you were at GTC or not, because for those of us that were at GTC, it's kind of like drinking from a fire hydrant. It can be so much, or we stepped out to go to the bathroom and we missed something. For those of you that got to participate on the virtual, it's the same thing. It's like there's so much content coming in that you might, for the first time, like you might hear something tonight for the first time and be like, oh, how did I miss that? Like I was in the training, I heard that speaker, but you miss it. So I always just recommend for people, always be listening for your nugget. This is a great call to take some notes on, because yes, we will have it recorded, but unless we go back and listen to the recordings, they're not really training us, they're not benefiting us in that same way. So just listen for your nugget, listen for the thing that's going to stick out for you and really speak to you, depending on where you are at in your business. And I know that several of the gals that went to GTC, they aren't on the call yet. So as they hop on, we'll just let them share. So I'm going to share a little bit at the end, just some of my own personal takeaways, and then just some ways to really leverage the information that you got at GTC, what you hear on this call tonight, and then how to implement that so it's not just a hearing. There is a principle that talks about not being just hearers of the word, but also doers, because if we're only hearers of the word and we don't implement it, we really deceive ourselves. And we think we're doing the right things, but we're not if we're not putting them into action. We just have a lot of knowledge, but knowledge, if it's not implemented, doesn't lead to success, right? Everybody knows that they should go work out and eat less. Everybody can know that. Unless you put those principles into place, they don't yield any sorts of results. So do any of the gals, I know Amy's on Central Time. Amy, do you want to go first? Because you probably want to get your boys to bed, I would think. After.
Yeah.
So
if you don't mind, I will.
Yeah. So I'm going to let you go ahead and kick us off. So if everybody, when you share, if you want to just introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and why don't we do this? Tell us who you are, where you live, and then if this was like your first GTC, your 10th GTC, I think that helps to paint perspective and picture of the experience.
Okay. Well, I'm Amy Gill. I live in St. Louis. This is my first GTC. And actually, I'm going to come up on my year anniversary as a consultant just next month in May. So I just renewed this month for that. Several things. One thing that stuck out, and I know I've talked to the girls about it there, is consistency over and over and over. That's just, that's what I kept hearing. That's what I keep telling myself. Today I was tired. I decided, you know what, and this is another thing that I took away, is treat this like a business. And that's what I need to do. So I left the house, I left the laundry, I left my suitcases still packed. I took my computer to Starbucks, and I sat there for an hour and a half. And I sent out a whole bunch of text messages. I followed up with a few people. I made a lunch date for tomorrow, another one-on-one later on in the week. So I decided it was time to get out of here because there's too many distractions at home. The laundry, like I said, the full suitcases, and it was time to start doing this. And I'm going to do this every day. I might pick different Starbucks, although I want to keep doing the one by my house because I do see several people in there over and over. So that would be a good way to meet people and not just Starbucks hop. I will. I mean, there's plenty here in St. Louis, but I do want to do that every day. I'm going to wait. Tomorrow, I've got on my list to follow up with the gentleman I talked to on the airplane. And he was very interested after I woke up from my long nap. I think that's actually what struck up the conversation. He said, "You were tired." I said, "Yes, I was." So then that's, and it was a really good conversation. And I think I've never done this before, but, I just, he asked a little, he said, "Well, where you been?" And I told him about that I was at a conference, and he was asking a lot of questions. So it was great. And before I could even say anything, he goes, do you happen to have a card with you? And I said, yes, I do. So he was intrigued enough by the little that I was telling him that he is very excited about the nutrition. He's got his daughter's wedding is coming up in July. Oddly, it's my wedding anniversary, so that was kind of a fun little share. And his daughter's a pharmacist who went to St. Louis College Pharmacy. So that was also a fun thing that we had in common. So I think just those little things that you just never know who you're going to sit to. And it was Southwest, so I just happened to choose a good seat to sit next to him because he was, like I said, really excited about the nutrition. So you never know, who you're going to run into, and you don't want to choose who's going to be interested and who's not. I talked to a few of my consultants under me today about it, and we just kind of, like I said, told them a few little things that I got out of it, and we're gonna have a meeting together later on at the end of the week. And but I think that's the thing is consistency over and over and over, and do treat it like a business. I mean, if you want something to come from it, then you have to treat it like that. I mean, like I said, I was tired today, but if I had to work at the pharmacy, would that have been an excuse not to go in? No, I would have to go tired or not, no matter what time I got in or how little sleep I got. So that's the same thing with this, is I'm going to treat this the same way. And that's the only way that I'm going to get out there and grow.
That's so awesome, Amy. I love that. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of writing down little takeaways from each one of you. So, but yes, it is true. And I was just thinking, like, it's so true. I don't know if Riley yet's on the call, but she traveled with us. She's a U of L student. She had to be at a school in a classroom by 8:30 this morning, and we didn't land until 2:45 last night. And I just thought that is, or 1:45, whatever. And I just thought that's a commitment. That's the level of consistency and commitment we need to have with our business. That's awesome. Thanks, Amy. All right, who wants to go next week? I see Lori, Shauna, Bridget, Tara, and anybody. Just hop in. You can go next. Share your takeaway.
I can go ahead.
Awesome.
In the area manager training, Brittany Johnston, which is one of my favorite DAs, she has a really short, sweet DA on YouTube that I've sent out multiple times, and I just like it. She's very quick, very direct to the point. And her presentation was exactly the same way. So her 3 tips, and I'll just touch on those, but then kind of the one thing she said that I wrote down that kind of speaks volumes to me is master your mindset. And this is a huge one. I think everyone jumps in first and then is raring to go and excited, and all of a sudden all the fear creeps in and all the mess in your mind, the itty bitty committee starts talking to you and it starts messing you up. So that was the big one that she talked about in the beginning. Paint your vision, paint a clear vision. You kind of have to paint that for people, like where you're going, because if you're going there and you're going there, just being clear about that, and then leading from the front. And this one I also learned myself when I first started. You kind of get, especially if you're a manager and you're JOB, you kind of tend to get where you're manageritis. And she said, if you're not doing the things that you're telling your team to or working with your team, you just have to lead from the front and keep doing the same things, and they will follow as soon as you turn on and face your team. So those are the 3 things she touched on. But the one thing she said is just do more, get better. And I was like, you can almost think of any aspect of this business and you could apply that principle. Do more, get better. You can always do more. There's always another reach out. There's always another text. There's always someone that, you've either talked to or gave product to or whatever that you need to follow up. So it's just do more, get better. And then we have to get better. You can't stay in the same, that self-development is huge. And I think if people avoid that or, don't listen to the books or they miss out, missing out on the books that we've done and just little things. Every time we went into the MGM, every time I faced those stairs and that escalator, it was that book popped in my head and we chose to take the stairs. It changes your mindset on different things. So that was the biggest takeaway that she said is do more, get better. I think that's going to be my mantra in addition to my word this year, because you could apply it to anything.
That's awesome. I love that. I missed the memo with you all on the escalator. I think I rode the escalator plenty of times because my feet were like so swollen and sore. But yes.
for a while, like every time we went as a group, we all just automatically took the stairs up because I was just in the back of my mind. I heard, Roy Vaden saying, when you look at the side by side, everyone will wait for that escalator to go up. And
so true. Yeah.
Very
That's
few take the
awesome.
stairs because it's harder work, and that's
Yeah.
what it is. It's harder work.
Yes, that's awesome. I love that. Thank you, Lori. And
Yep.
Lori, this was your third GTC. Well, 2.5.
Yes.
2.5. Lori last year came for 24 hours, so she only got a snippet of GTC last year. So, but
Yep.
yeah, it was awesome. All
Yep.
right, who wants to share next?
I can go.
Awesome.
My name is Shauna, for those of you who have not had a chance to meet yet, and I'm just outside of Louisville in Simpsonville. And this is my first GTC. This is the first year I've been able to go. So it was a really nice experience. It was fun to get to meet the girls. And
Oh, whoa. Hold on. You're on mute. Okay. Sorry. Somehow you got muted. Go ahead. Keep
oh,
sharing.
no worries. So one of the things that really stuck out to me, and this is going back to my word of the year, is intentionality. That's just been something I feel like I've been hit with a lot recently. One of the things Danielle Lawyer said is when you work to be a better you, everybody wins. You're a better wife, you're a better mom. It's what you do in the dark that puts you in the light. And I really liked that. There were really kind of three, I guess, nuggets under that intentionality. With mindset, marketing, and persistence, just things I need to work on personally. Within the mindset, Claire Rizzoli in our district manager and consultant training, she said there's no bad days, only personal development days. And I think sometimes, we can kind of get ourselves down, but it's just continuing to push on in those times and realizing that even if it's not the outcome that you were hoping for, that you can still learn from that. There's still a lot of good that can come from that. And then with Mel Robbins, when you point at things and you're making excuses, you're saying, I didn't do this because of that, or I couldn't get this done because of that. If you point, you're pointing with one finger, but you've got those three fingers pointing back at you. So I really, really liked that. It was just kind of another way just to kind of internalize things that, you don't need to focus on the external circumstances. You have the ability to choose joy and to choose, to look at things positively, and about how much of what we do is really just about mindset and continuing to persevere and press on.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Did you want to share the 3 points under those?
Well, it was mindset, market. I wasn't sure how much you wanted to share. Like, I didn't want to steal anybody else's stuff.
Well, that's
I did have a lot. So that was the first under mindset. The second was marketing. I think this was just in the new product launch. They mentioned to do a social media challenge with your clients, and I just really liked that idea. So when you're at these presentations, have your ladies take selfies, of trying on the new eye mask, or, when they're having the mask on, or whatever it is, but have them take a selfie and share it. And, what they mentioned, and what is so true, is if you put a picture of like our RE9 or of our nutrition or something like that, and it's just a stock photo, you might get 1 or 2 likes. You're not going to get many because that's just a brand image. But if you have somebody trying it on saying, hey, I tried this protein shake, it's awesome, this is what I loved about it, what kind of protein shake do you have? And just, making it more personal, making it more real, how far that can go. So I really liked that. And just for me personally, doing a better job of branding myself. Our keynote speaker, she was all about fitness. She had amazing arms that I hope one day maybe I can get. But if I tried to do that, if I tried to go about it in the way like Tara, you do an awesome job with your fitness business, but that's not me. I'm a girl, as you know from what my husband said, we like all the carbs. That's what we do. But, it's just personalizing it, making it yours, right? So I think me trying to do a better job of that, and just really branding who I am in this business and how it fits within who I am as a person. I need to do a better job of that. And then the third thing was just persistence. Eunice Ray, if y'all have a chance to listen to her virtually, you all need to do that. She is a little firecracker. She's awesome. But she just talked about lobbing the ball over the net like you're playing tennis. You just keep hitting the ball and hoping, someday somebody's going to hit it back to you. So just continuing to do that. And she's somebody, I actually know somebody who she pokes fingers into people's middles and says, I can help you with that. I know people who she's done that to. So that's a legit thing. So again, it goes back to branding yourself and owning who you are. And then I forget who said it, but it's discipline your time. Oh, this is Daniel Lawyer as well, I think. Discipline your time. It's not about what you want now and getting that instant gratification and settling for the good, but it's in searching for the great and really looking for what you want most and being willing to work for that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks, Shauna. Those were all amazing takeaways. And yes, I can't endorse Eunice Ray's enough. I think behind Miranda Burcham, Eunice was the best presentation, the best energy, the best just audience kind of just really engaging the audience in a way that was very inspiring for sure. So that's awesome. Cool. Thanks. All right. Who wants to go next? Bridget, let's do it. Raise your hand, Bridget. Tell us your name.
Hi, Bridget Spinney.
Where you live. Okay, perfect.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Perfect.
And this is my third GTC. So I'm sorry I missed the first part. I just got home from work. It just reminds me today when I come home from this weekend. Like I hadn't seen my kids all weekend, went to work at 7 and literally walked in the door at 8:30. I'm like, this sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It does. And it's just totally a why of it was good that it happened, but it just reinforces, what I need to do. So are we talking about our takeaways?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my biggest takeaway from Eunice Ray was just belief, which I've heard Linda Hefner say that too. It needs to be steady, that your business needs to be steady and don't waver your belief. And I think sometimes I do that. I do it in myself and in my business. Like, am I going to be good enough? And I didn't catch her name, but I think she was the second speaker of our district manager talk. And Shauna, do you remember who she was?
Yeah, I think it was Claire Rizzoli.
Yeah. And she said something about belief, and now I totally just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. So I'll come back to it. But Miranda Burcham said short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. I love that. Danielle Lover said make small shift for lasting change in your business. And I think that's where the biggest piece that I lack is, like, I'm all in and then I kind of take a lull. And then if I just am committing myself to little pieces every night, so that's what I'm going to work on. And when Miranda Burcham came on, I honestly did not take notes. So I am really excited that we get to watch the virtual GTC, because I felt like this time I just did a lot of listening. So even just to take away the points that we talked about tonight, it'll be neat just to have those written down, because when she came on, I was like all in listening. And I just didn't even want to try to remember her steps or remember the things that she was talking about. I really just wanted to focus on the presentation, and I was so glad I did. I mean, she was just so inspiring. I loved that she had told us that she basically lost her nation, and there were so many people that were, national or executive vice presidents that had worked, lost their business, but stuck with it. And so I feel like kind of I'm in that place where, I've just kind of been at that lull, or like an Ashley Stone, where she was a district manager and area manager for so long. And then finally one day she put her ass in gear, which I heard that. And then the biggest thing that I saw just multiple times was courage. And so for me, like that was a big word of the weekend. So
that's awesome. Yes, it is interesting how many times that word courage came up.
Yeah.
From main stage, I think it was shared probably 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Powerful. That's awesome. Thanks, Bridget.
Uh-huh.
All right. Who else? I know we got lots of the girls on now, so
I'll
anybody?
go. I don't know how
Awesome.
he's gonna you're good, but it's his 2-year-old birthday, so I guess I'm letting him stay up. So with us. So I think I was kind of flipping through my notes. I was looking at Eunice Ray. I liked her quote of bulldog persistence is a way of loving them. Thought that was really interesting way to think about that. And she was just awesome. I mean, yeah, I'll definitely watch more videos of her. And just like it was said, like courage, and I even wrote down the word confidence, because for the longest time I thought confidence was, just being motivated. And I wrote down is the willingness to try or to succeed or survive. And when you survive something, even if you get your no or whatever that survival is for that moment, you learn to build a skill. And I think we are all survivors in this because we're keeping on, as they say. So we're not quitters. So I like that definition of confidence. I thought that really spoke to me. Yeah, Miranda Burcham was my all. Like, I was just like, I did write notes, but she's just an inspiration. And I wrote this down. I started, so I was like, it must have been important in the moment I was starring it. She said, instead of using that as an excuse, let's reframe it and use it as the why you need this. I don't have time. I'm too busy. All the excuses, I got a family thing going on right now. And so there are going to be sacrifices that we all have to make to get us to that end that we're all seeing. Because me and Amy Gill, we were just we were just sitting looking back and forth at each other. We're saying, we can be on that stage totally. It's just we got to go do it. I'm not doing enough of it. I'll think about it. And it's not good just to think about it. I need to go do more. And so it was very inspirational. I mean, I have a book full of notes here. I haven't even got to go through yet, but I was kind of looking at some of those things. But yeah, everything was great takeaways for me. So those are a couple of mine.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, one of the things, yes, to Miranda's point of just not letting your whys become your excuses or vice versa. I just wanted to share with the group when she shared that they have 3 biological children. And then in the course of, I think, 15 years of marriage, they've had 14 foster children. And then they were offered, when they had 3 children of their own, 3 foster children, they were offered brand new newborn twin babies who were drug addicted. And they said yes. And this was when she was rebuilding back her nation after she had lost her nation. And 2 days later, she got on a plane to go to GTC. And I have heard that before, but hearing it again took for me every excuse off the table to ever not show up for something. And even just Fallon, what you're doing, being on a call on his 2nd birthday, I have had countless consultants tell me, oh, I can't get on a call because it's, I can't do this. I can't do this. It's my uncle's birthday, or it's my, whatever. And we can use any excuse. And just to say, he's 2, he's with his mom, he's fine, he's being celebrated. It's just even the willingness to make those little sacrifices is really what sets the champions apart from the people that say they want it but aren't willing to do it. So I just really want to personally commend you for this, because it's actually very powerful what you're doing right now.
Oh, and I will say I did get a text message reminder from Lori. So I did the 5 thing, because I did look at it. I was like, oh, call, I'm tired. We've been a crazy day. And then I said 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I gotta do it. I was, even my husband, I've told him about it. He's like, you better use your 5-second rule then. So I was like, yep, I got to get on there. So
yeah. Well, Mel Robbins shares, if you haven't listened to her book yet, she shares about how she was telling her husband how she was implementing the rule, and one morning where she wasn't wanting to get out of bed, he starts counting 5, 4, 3, and she's like, you SOB, like, shut up. And anyway, she had to get out of bed because he was doing her 5-second countdown for her. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks, Fallon. All right, who else would like to share?
I'll go.
Awesome.
Okay, so I couldn't find my notes. I've been looking for them for the past 30 minutes. I don't know where they are. So I wrote down like a couple things I could remember from the notes, but I know a lot of people have already said this, but the excuses thing for me, that's really what hit me the most, was because I do that a lot. Like, I'll know I need to do something and I'll be with family, or I'll be feeling like I need to do something else. And I'm like, oh, in the moment, this feels so much more important. But like, it's those short-term sacrifices that will, like Missy, you always say success is inconvenient. So it's kind of like that mindset that I just I need to switch gears on that and really I guess I just realized that I had been doing that and I didn't even really realize I was. So that's my biggest takeaway. And then I really liked, I don't remember who said it because I don't have my notes, but it was like, if you're not getting any no's, then you should be worried because that means you're not working. So I don't have like much more to say than that, but I really liked that quote a lot because you still have to have like the losses to get the gains. Mm-hmm. And then this was just something for me that I was doing the entire weekend, was just picturing everybody on the stage, like the entire team. And I just kept picturing it over and over again because like I just want that so badly for myself and for everyone else. And I started picturing people that aren't on our team walking the stage, and it's like almost going to make me cry. But I just really saw that vision. And yeah, that's basically it.
That's awesome. I love when people cry when they talk about GTC. It's my favorite. I've been very emotional. And yes, to your point, Edie, on the excuses, I think for me, one of the things that when I realized the damage that excuses cause is because as a leader, what we allow in moderation, our teams will do in excess. And so every now and again, you'll sponsor somebody that kind of surpasses a leader in that like self-discipline level and things like that. But for the most part, most people will gauge themselves kind of their activity level by, a leader or upline or things like that. And so that's why for us that are so committed to our businesses that we have to, I think it's been shared already, we have to do the more, we have to do that extra, because then it creates the opportunity for those that are going to come into our business to do what's required. They most often will not do what's required if we're not doing, what's required. And so, yeah, that's really awesome. Thanks, Edie. All right. Who wants to go next?
Hey, Missy.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a comment by Miranda Burchin who said success is not owned, it's rented, and you have to pay for it every day?
Yes.
That was one that I had highlighted.
And that's from the Rory Vaden book, the Take the Stairs book.
Yes.
He said success is, that it's just, you have to do it every day. And that's the thing, and I think that that's everybody that shared. And even in my personal experience, when you promote to a management level, you don't all of a sudden get a pass to stop working.
Yeah.
You have to keep paying those dues. It's like 30 days to healthy living. You can't do it one time and then be like, I'm going to do it once a month, every 12 months. And then somehow that's going to coast you for the next 11. It doesn't work that way, So that's awesome. All right. Who would like to go next?
I will go.
Awesome.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can, sweet girl.
All right. I'm in the car, so I didn't know if you guys were able to hear me. And I got on late, so I want to make sure I'm discussing my takeaways from GTC.
Yeah, you're just telling us your name, where you live, if this was like your first GTC or not, and then your takeaway.
All right, perfect. So I'm Riley Norwood. I've been doing Arbonne since February, and I live in Louisville, Kentucky. This is my first GTC, obviously. So my huge takeaways from GTC is I've had some like cold feet going in and out of like Arbonne, if that's what I want to do. because I'm a student at the University of Louisville, and so like I was just like, it's such a big time commitment. So I did big takeaways were that success is inconvenient. That I've seen it as an inconvenience, like because I'm working when I used to have downtime, but obviously like you work when you have downtime anyways, whether it's like a job that you're doing on your own or a job that you have to show up at a certain time. So I just have to stop seeing it as like a hobby and see it more as a job. Another one was that there's no right time. Because I kept saying like, oh, I'm in classes right now. This summer will be great. This summer I'll get underway. But I'm working all summer like at a daycare. Like there's no right time. If I'm going to do this, I gotta do it now. If I don't start now, I'm never gonna start. And then just a little tidbit on like my life and what I took away personally is for the 5-second rule. I'm an education major, and that's the reason why I started Arbonne is because I'm passionate about education, and I'm not going to make much. So, but in the 5-second rule, she talks about teaching that to our children, and obviously I don't have any children, but I'm going to have at least 25 children every single year, and she talks about teaching it to our children to gain confidence, because what we gain from GTC, we gain to grow personally, not just as a business. And as a teacher, I want each of my children to grow personally. And it was just a huge thing that I can incorporate in my curriculum and lessons to help my students grow and be who they want to be and be confident and motivated like we are trying to pursue now in our 20s. If they can do that at the age of 4 and 5 and 13, like imagine how far ahead they'll be personally than we are now. So that's just kind of like what I took away from I'm going to miss my exit from GTC.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And, you know, Riley, that's really insightful just to be able to see that it is, you know, it is more than just what can we apply to the business. It's how can we become a better person, because the level that you grow to as a person is the level that you grow your business to. And so
exactly.
I love hearing that. That's awesome. Thanks, girl. All right. Who wants to share?
I'll go.
Awesome.
So my name is Beth Schlegel. I live in Louisville also. This was my first GTC. I started my business in February. And the two biggest things that I took away are, one, that belief has a sound, especially being new. You don't sound very confident. And so just making that adjustment so that people that you're talking to, they don't think that this is just something kind of fun you're doing on the side. It's something that you're really passionate about, you care about, and you want to be successful in, because then that'll make people want to do it with you, not just be like, okay, I'll buy face wash from you one time and then you're never going to speak to me again kind of thing. So just to get that consistency behind it also, that was my second thing, is just being more consistent, because as a person, I'm someone that likes to do everything all at once, and I get really excited about stuff and I get it all done, and then I just don't think about it again. And I'm really bad about that with school, but it's also like rolled over into my business to where I'll do a bunch of stuff for one day and then I won't call somebody for a week or 2 weeks. And then I'm like, oh, that's really bad. Because I look back at my calendar, and this was mentioned by somebody, one of the men that spoke, I think, but how they looked back at their calendar and they're like, oh, I've done so much this month. And then he's like, oh God, I did 3 presentations. And so just implementing that consistency and making sure that it's always there. And I think having the weekly compensation will help with that too, by kind of having like a weekly close and always going back and looking at the calendar, not just the last 4 days of the month.
Yes,
So,
that's awesome.
So yep, that's all.
Awesome. That was Stuart Armfield, and I think that's actually like a YouTube video that he made like 7 years ago when he was he was like not yet a district manager, because he was like, I don't know why I'm not there yet, and then he was like, you know, I've done 3 positions. But that, you know, that's that thing of really being like being a truth teller to ourselves. And because we will think about Arbonne all the time, and we will think about all the things that we want to do or should be doing or could be doing, but then we actually can only gauge our business by what we've actually done, who we've gotten in front of. And so and the doing of it is less stressful than the thinking of it, but we tend to procrastinate and do the thinking instead of the doing. So that's awesome. I love that, Beth. It was so fun. I will tell you all, it was so fun this year to have so many first timers, because you feel like it's like watching somebody go to Disney World for the first time. It's like, you know how amazing it's going to be. And then to get to see them experience it firsthand has been lots of fun. So awesome. Thanks, girl. All right. Who do we have next to share? I know we've got Tara left, and I don't know, maybe that'll wrap us up. Yes, because Megan. So, yep, that's T. You're up.
All right. Tara Johnson. I live in Louisville, Kentucky, and I haven't counted GTCs. I think this might have been number 8. I'm not sure. My 2 takeaways. The first one was from Danielle Lawyer. She just gave 4 different disciplines. They were the discipline of the mind, discipline of your time, discipline of your action, and discipline of your expectations. But I love that she started with the mind, and her big bullet point under that was just that when you discipline your mind, you take total ownership of the thoughts you allow in your mind. And I love how she worded that it's not just the thoughts in your mind, it's the thought that you allow in your mind. Because we really are the owner of what we think, and what we think about, we bring about. And as a man thinketh, so he is, or so she is. And I've heard it just even in what has been shared tonight, you know, we all are coming back. Some of us got sick while we were gone. Most of us had to get up and go to a job today. Like, we're tired, but we're also excited because of what we got to experience, what we got to see, and the people that we got to spend time with, and the life that we got to have spoken into us, and the people that poured into us. And so those are the things that you get to choose to think about. And if you choose to think about being tired, and you choose to think about all the things that needed to get done today, or choose to know what tomorrow's going to bring, or you choose to dwell on how you're feeling, that's not going to move you towards your goal. It's going to keep you right where you are. So that I just enjoyed immensely. And then the other takeaway I had was actually from Mel Robbins, and she just gave the definition that confidence is the willingness to try. And I just thought it was such a simple yet powerful definition, because I think many of us feel like we will do better in Arbonne when we're confident in Arbonne. But the confidence will just come from your willingness to try. And that really is true confidence. It's just the ability to pick up the phone. It's the ability to ask the question. It's the ability to make the invitation. It's the willingness. Like, it doesn't necessarily, I was actually having this conversation yesterday with Riley at the airport. Like, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. The wrong thing is not saying something. And so it's just a matter of being willing to put yourself out there. And as we have said before, and as we've shared before, like, the worst that's going to happen is you're going to hear the word no. That's the worst thing that's going to happen. And so I just love that. I just think that definition of confidence will stick with me for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all that I have. Literally.
That's awesome. No, Mel Robbins was so good. And I'm excited to rewatch her video, for all of them for sure. But hers was just, it was cool because it was an outside speaker. So a couple of the takeaways that I had, there were a lot for me this year. I felt like some of the breakout training was really full. And then I felt like day 2, Saturday, I was like kind of overwhelmed because it was just like a gut punch, one right after the other. It was just a lot, but it was really good. And a couple of the things was they talked about in the RBP training, and then I actually saw a picture that Brittany Johnson or Johnston had posted from the DM training, but they were parallel. They were the same thing. And the first gal, she was talking about when she promoted to region, this was years ago, she got a phone call from Rita Davenport, and she had promoted to district, I think 3 or 4 times and lost it and got it back. And then she actually promoted to area and lost it twice before she became a region and then on to become a national vice president. But she said she got a phone call from our former president, Rita Davenport, and she was driving, I think, to her car presentation or something, because Rita used to call when people promoted. And the last thing that she said was, she just said, honey, she just said, you just need to know that, like, now that you've promoted, you're actually going to work harder than what you did to promote. And this gal, her name's Caroline Reed. She's down in Texas. And she was like, that was kind of like the worst thing I wanted to hear. But she also just appreciated the truth in that. And there was a slide that I saw posted from Brittany that her upline ENVP, Carol Eggleston, had said to her. And she just said, just work harder the 4 months following your promotion than you did to get there. And what that means is that is what's going to create the consistency to grow from one level to the next. Because what happens, and Bridget alluded to this, and there's been a big theme of consistency, and because that's human nature, you guys, that's part of our our fleshiness is to be inconsistent. But it's people will promote to district, and instead of taking a breath, they take a break. And so it's like they promote to district and they do what is required, and then they like fall out for like the 2 months, and then they're like a 0, or they're like at a 500 or 1,000, even though they had just done 6,000 the last 2 months to get there, and then it's kind of like, oh, I got to hustle and I got to get now, growing to area, and then they'll promote to area, and then they kind of flatline, and they'll promote to region, and so it's just using other people's hindsight as your foresight. So I want to share that with you guys. Take this information and let it be your foresight, so that you don't have to go back next year feeling like, gosh, I'm in the same spot. Because you can be at the same management title. Like, I'm at the same management title that I was a year ago GTC, but my business is in a really different place. And I don't anticipate being in the same management title next GTC. So your business can have growth from one year over the next, even if you're in the same management title, but it's just using people's hindsight as your foresight to know when you're promoting, you keep your hand to the business. When you help people promote, you're teaching them to keep their hand to their business. So that was a big takeaway for me. The second was players and coaches win games, cheerleaders do not. So cheerleaders, Arbonne cheerleaders, those are the people that go to events. They can get on training calls. They can buy all the product. They can have all the logo gear. But if they're not in consistent activity, they're cheerleaders for the brand of Arbonne. They're not actually players and coaches in the game of Arbonne. And so just to, again, evaluate, am I a player and a coach, or am I a cheerleader? And what will give you the most accurate answer to that is, what does how many people have you gotten in front of in the last 30 days or 60 days with the full story? And if it's anything less than the 30 to 40 people, then there's just opportunity to become more of an engaged player. Okay, so just use that to really kind of evaluate, because what will happen is, I have seen, you guys, I've been in this business a long time. I have seen, like, I saw people at GTC this year, and I'm like, you have been a consultant with Arbonne for 10 years, and you're still coming to GTC, and you're still cheering on the brand, and they love the brand, but for whatever reason, they're not willing to do the work to become a player. And I don't know if it's blindedness to the truth of their situation or what it is, but I don't want that for anybody in my business. I don't want people being in a place where, they don't understand why they're not yet where they want to be. So that was a big one. And then the last one was from Miranda Burcham. She gave 10 the power ofs, and you'll watch her video and you'll be able to see that. But number 6 was the power of pushing your own buttons. And because that's all about the desire fuels discipline. And Danielle Lauver talked about discipline, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it's a discipline. It's a discipline of choosing to do the things we don't want to do when we don't feel like doing them. And when she was talking about this power of pushing your own buttons, she just said, master pushing yourself. And that for me, really, that for me was like a ding light bulb, like, because I know who I want to sponsor in this business. I know the caliber of people that I want to continue to keep attracting. And in order to attract those people, I have to become more like that person. And so that's why that Carrie Underwood song, I have probably listened to that song 20 times today. My kids are like, why all of a sudden are you obsessed with the champion song? But it's because those are all the things that I want to grow in myself, being unstoppable, being a comeback, being, super self-disciplined, doing the things that I don't want to do because they're the things that I said that I was going to do. Because that discipline is what, is makes all the difference. So those were just some of the kind of 3 that really stuck out to me. I mean, there was lots of stuff. So kind of transitioning as we wrap up this call, what do we do with all this now? Because as a leader and as, kind of the one that's going to be cheering us on, I need to tell you guys what we have to do. And what we have to do is we have to implement this stuff. We can't just have notebooks full of notes. We can't have all these pictures on Facebook. We can't have tears about all these trainings and not go do something. And so what I'm going to really ask you all to do, whether you were at GTC or not, if you were on this call, you were on this call on a Monday night at 9 o'clock because you want to be profitable in this business. You want to be successful. You want to have all of the things that Arbonne offers. And it is not a decision of, do I want the things? It's a decision of, what am I willing to do to have the things? That's what the decision is about. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to implement another 90-day plan, because we are finishing up at the end of April. We're going to wrap up this 90 days of focus that we kicked off at Bash and Nash, right? That was February, March, and April. So I'm going to ask you to recommit to another 90 days of implementing what needs to be done, because there is no secret, you guys, in this business. There isn't a secret sauce. There's not anybody on this stage that really said anything that you haven't heard on some form before. You've heard it maybe in a new way, or you're just in a new season of your business where it spoke to you, but you all know what you need to do to be successful in this business. And if you don't, just simply reach out and be like, okay, I know I'm supposed to get in front of 30 faces, or I know I'm supposed to be sponsoring, but just making sure you understand what that is, and then don't waver from it. Everything in your business, everything, you guys, will improve by growing your level of self-discipline. And I would love to tell you, I know we were kind of having a joke one of the lunches, or maybe the last day, and Riley and Tara were talking about motivation, and Tara basically called motivation a big BS card. We're not ever going to feel like being motivated, or feel like, we can't listen to enough songs or read enough books to be motivated. The key to success in this business, and what sets the people that are walking across the stage from those that aren't, is simply those on the stage are willing to be a little more disciplined and consistent, and some of the stories that I loved, we see Peyton Mott, and she's been in Arbonne for, 2 years or 3 years. She's been really consistent, self-disciplined. Danielle Laver, she's been in Arbonne 12 or 13 years. She's been disciplined, maybe just not as consistent in the discipline. So there's always opportunity to grow and improve, and you've never kind of like maxed out your time to have that opportunity, but just know that everything will improve. Getting up a little bit earlier, going to bed a little bit earlier, being prepared with the 6, income producing activities that you need to do tomorrow, pushing yourself to make one more phone call, doing that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and asking the person that's kind of walking past you, and just being brave and taking courage on all of those things. So really just want to have our focus be on that, and then breaking that down. What does that look like for this next week? Okay, what it looks like for our next week is that things are going really well. All your all's numbers are looking really good. Here's what I am going to tell you. Hold on one second. Here's what I am going to tell you in regards to our numbers. And this is me being a truth teller for you and not just a cheerleader. Look at your sponsoring. Okay, because in the month of April, when we have new products and we've got the I Want It Alls, we are pulling in a lot of volume, you guys. Our volume has grown exponentially in the last 7 days. And I anticipate it's going to grow exponentially again in all of your businesses in the next 7 days. And I want to see that happen, because there is no reason that we shouldn't have massive sales this month. Like, that new skincare line is insane. It showed up at my house today before my shower at like 2:00. That face scrub and the dew, I don't even know what that is, but my face is so soft I can't even handle it. Everybody needs to be using it. I mean, like Lori said, there's just we have tons of new news to be sharing with people, and we've always had great products. So we need to be seeing this increase of sales this month. But what I am going to ask you is to look at your sponsoring number right now. What is your personal sponsoring number right now? And mine is low. I am not happy with it. I am not satisfied with it. And I am committed. I don't just want it to be different. I'm committed to having it be different by the end of close night. But the rule of thumb is that every month we're looking for 5 new PCs, and we're looking for 1 to 3 new consultants in our business. If you're not there yet, you've got work to do, and that's the work that needs to be done. Because if all you do is focus on growing your sales, the QV, between now and the end of the month, you're going to open up May, and you're not going to have activity. You're not going to have new people to work with. You're not going to have, sponsoring is next month's business. So sponsoring, along with the QV that's going to increase, both need to go up this week. Okay. And that's really just me being a truth teller and loving you guys and saying, hey team, this is where we need to focus. This is where we need to focus. The QV will absolutely rise. And here's the thing, you guys, we are more than halfway to the goal of 100,000 this month as a team. So I believe that we are going to hit that, but we need to see the sponsoring come up so that they're equal, because really ideally you want to have 1 sign up per 1,000 QV in your business. Okay. So we want to be looking at that. So what is the game plan between now and the end of the month? Do more. Do more. Whatever the more is for you. Some of you need to book some parties. You just do. You got to go get into some new markets of people. Some of you need to dust off your bag. You haven't done a party in 6 months or a year. You got to get out there and you got to meet some people. Some of you need to get on the phone and you got to go book 5, 10, 20-minute overviews. Some of you need to follow up with all the people that have been kind of in your funnel for a long time. Some of you just need to go out and prospect and meet some new people. Whatever it is, everybody's business is in a different season, and there's different things that you need to focus on, but you just need to do more. And I'm telling you all the things I've told myself today. Missy, do more, do more, do more. That's all that it is, because we have been poured into so intensely with trainings and inspiration and motivation and all those things. But now we just need to go implement it, you guys, for the next 7 days. And we've got to go do the more. Okay. Skincare sets. I'm just going to tell you, they sat on my shelf the whole time I was at GTC. That was stupid. That was so dumb. All of those things should have been out. My makeup set should have been out. Nutrition set should have been out. Those could have all been working for me, but I just didn't. I just gave myself the excuse of, it'll be all fine. I'll catch up when I get home. That's pathetic. That's like loser mentality on every level, okay? And I'm not a loser, so we're going to change that. But it's just being honest and realizing we can't just, gone are the days of when we're going to keep giving ourselves excuses and keep kind of placating like, oh, it's fine. We're doing okay. We're doing okay. No, we're going to do more. Every one of you, like Fallon and Amy shared and like Edie shared, every one of you can walk that stage next year. What's keeping any of us from walking that stage next year is just doing more. So that's the game plan. We are going to do more. Okay. So thank you all for sharing tonight. I so appreciate it. Just love all of you. Had such a great time. It's crazy. I always miss being with the group. I mean, like, I'm glad to be home and I'm glad to be in my own bed, but I totally miss being together like that and just that camaraderie and all the fun and the laughs. So if you didn't get a chance to join us this year, you just decide to come next year no matter what. Miranda Burcham got on a plane with crack, addicted 2-day-old brand new babies and left a husband at home with 6 other kids. Like, he got left with 8 kids. That's insane. I'm sure they had help, but just realizing that is what sets the champions and the successful apart from those that aren't. So thanks for hopping on. If you are still on Las Vegas time, I'm going to tell you, get some sleep spray in and go to bed like now or in the next hour so that you can get off Las Vegas time. Because like right now I'm like, oh, I'm jazzed up because my body's only like on 7 o'clock time, but we need to go to bed so that we can start tomorrow and get up a little bit earlier. So, all right. Love y'all. Thanks for hopping on. So good to catch up.